Today we're going to talk about why everyone is tired but can't sleep. Now I'm going to give you the antidote to this as well if you stay to the end, which most people probably won't make it to, but if you do, you will receive the antidote. At least the antidote that I've came to found a solution for. Why everyone's tired but can't sleep, how to fix it, why these things happen, and why the mind continues on. We're going to talk about why the body needs a certain amount of rest, why the mind needs a certain amount of rest. It seems like nobody understands these things. It seems like nobody understands why these things happen, why they're tired but can't sleep, how to get through it, how to actually get that rest that you need, how to actually get those things that you need. So we're going to talk about that. And I'm going to attempt to explain it in a way where you can put it into actual practice. See, we need to practice these things. We can't just consume content. You need to take notes. You need to put the notes in the comments of what you're writing down. Because when you make the notes will help you actually put it into practice, right? So create bullet point notes of what I'm about to tell you. Now let's get into it. Number one, the reason why these things happen is because the body needs rest, but the mind wants to work. So the body wants rest. Everybody knows that. We get to a certain point of physical exhaustion. We get so exhausted physically that the body has to get rest. Imagine someone never sleeping their entire life. They can't function. They go crazy, right? This is why they call insomnia. Insomnia is never getting sleep. You start to go crazy mentally. I think they did an experiment with this, or maybe it was a food experiment. But I think they did an experiment of testing when people never got sleep. And I think they started to beat each other and do all these crazy things to each other. So the body needs rest, but the mind wants to work. This is why a lot of people, when they go to sleep, they can't sleep. They're just rolling around. Their mind is still going. They want to do other things. They're thinking about this, what they have to do tomorrow. They're thinking about what they have to do today. Or they're thinking about the things they didn't do today. Or they're thinking about some girl. They're thinking about some guy. They think about this, think about that. So the mind is just wandering as they sleep. So when this happens, it causes the body to not really truly get the rest that it needs. Because if your mind is also working, then it's going to also force your body to work at the same time, because the mind and the body is connected. The sympathetic system and the cerebrospinal system of nerves, all of these things, the mind is connected to your body, which is why these things happen. So if you can't have mental unrest, if you can't have mental rest, then your body won't get the good rest that it needs, right? So this is why I'm talking about these things, because as I'm going through this, you have to understand that these are the things that will help you. This will help you get the mental rest that you need, the physical rest that you need. So second, the body can stop, but the mind will still want to fight. I'm going to give you an anecdotal or an experience that I had when I was boxing. When I was boxing, my body was so tired to the point where I couldn't really move, but my mind wanted to still fight. My mind wanted to keep going. My mind didn't want to stop. My mind just wanted to keep going. And in turn, it really helped me. It enabled me to keep fighting and keep going. So the mind is over the body. That's what that shows me. It showed me that even if your body is physically exhausted to a certain point, that your mind can still kind of override it. So if your mind can override it, some of this physical exhaustion, then that means the mind can also help you with the physical exhaustion. The mind can also help you bring rest. See, I think a lot of things come from mental unrest. We don't rest mentally, we rest physically, but nobody truly rests mentally. Nobody really truly rests mentally, because if they did, we'll start to get the actual sleep, our best sleep ever. We'll start to get the best sleep ever. We'll start to feel good. And this is something I noticed when I started going through this process. I noticed that throughout the day, a lot of us are clenching our muscles. And physical relaxations can come from letting go of all of your muscles, letting your muscles take your normal position. Throughout the day, everybody's so uptight. Everybody's walking around with high shoulders. Everybody buttocks is clenched. Because ass clenched together. And they don't even know it. So when you use your muscles throughout the day and your muscles is always tense, it leads to physical exhaustion. People don't know this. People don't understand this. You're hearing some secrets. So throughout the day, you can start to rest your muscles, start to relax your muscles when you're walking around. Start to notice that everybody's in here is tense. Their shoulders is tense. Their back is tense. Their cheekbones is tense. And I remember I was walking around with somebody in the store. And it was like, and I was saying, look around at everybody. Look how high his shoulders is. He's tense. Look at how high her cheekbones is. She's tense. Look how her facial expressions is tensed up. Like, how do you know this? I'm saying because I started practicing it. When I started practicing it, I started to feel every day how much we clench our muscles, which leads to more physical unrest. Because I learned this in boxing. Most of my experiences and most of my lessons come from boxing and me being out in the wilderness. I learned this from boxing. The boxing, you had to be able to physically relax while still being able to punch, and weave. You have to be able to physically relax and still be able to move. Because the more you were clenched up throughout the whole time, the more tired you get. So this leads on to point number 3, pushing past physical limits. Now, during that time, the mind was able to push past the physical limits. The mind is able to push past that physical barrier. So if you want to always reach that next level, you want to continue to break through the atmosphere of mediocrity and break through that next level, understand that your mind can push past the physical limits. So even if your body is feeling unrestful, your mind can make your body unrestful. Your mind can make your body restful. So even if you have physical unrest, if you learn how to get physical rest, if you learn how to get mental rest, you can achieve physical relaxation and physical rest. Now, when on the 4th point, I'm going to explain what mental rest is, but I want you to understand that the mind is the controller of the body. The mind is the controller of reality. Now, the reason why we oftentimes can't even get the physical relaxation that we want is because the mind is steady wandering. Mind is thinking about this, thinking about that. So you need to figure out a way to control your mind and control your thoughts to a certain point where you can think about nothing for a long period of time. There's been times when I sat here and I physically relaxed all of my muscles while I was woke. People don't do this while they're woke. You need to relax all of your muscles while you're woke and truly think about nothing. Some people can't think about nothing. Even though we can only do this for a short period of time, maybe from like 5 seconds to 10 seconds. But over time, you start to get better and you start to actually be able to think about nothing. Because the mind is wandering. When your mind is thinking, your mind is going, it's using energy. Thought is energy. So when you think, you're expending spiritual energy. You're expending energy when you think. So once you start to focus on nothing, you start to think about nothing. It's like a download. Once you get like physical relaxation, it's like a download because we're always moving in daily life, which causes physical exhaustion. So we're always moving. 4th point, the antidote. This is how you get past that barrier. This is how you actually relax. This is how you get there, right? 4th point is mental, physical relaxation. Mental rest is being able to control your thoughts, being able to think about nothing, being able to think about things that actually give you power. I also believe that mental unrest comes from believing and thinking in things that take our power away from us. I talked about on the last video, I said, we keep thinking about things that take our power away from us, saying this pole gonna give us bad luck, saying this gonna give us bad luck. And people don't even understand that the thoughts and beliefs that they have on a daily basis is stealing their own power away from them. Oh, they're saying they're this, they're saying they're lazy, they're telling themselves that. So they need to start to reframe and think about things differently. Maybe perhaps you can get your power back, start to tell yourself that you have more power than ever before. I remember when I was in the boxing ring, I said most of my experiences and most of my lessons come from me boxing, me going through physical pain. When I was in the boxing ring, I got so tired to the point where I started to say, you know what? I'm not even tired. This is just an extra state of extra energy. And I started to be able to jump up and go again. I started to be able to go again. I was just moving. I was just going. And when I did that, it started to become a principle. So every time I get tired now, I said, I'm not tired. This is just an extra state of extra energy. It's a reframe. You need a mental reframe. So once you learn how to control your thoughts, you'll be able to mentally relax as you start to go to sleep. Physical relaxation. Physical relaxation, I want you to understand that this comes from the mind getting its rest. We feel physical physical unrest because the mind is not getting rest. You need a certain amount of mental peace. Mental peace comes from above. Mental peace don't come from the earth. It come from above and it come inside you. So you need to understand that the only way you can achieve true physical relaxation is to have true mental relaxation. Mental relaxation is mental peace. A lot of people are so stuck in worry, doubt, fear, this going on, this, that going on. No, you need to blink and you need to get rid of all of the garbage, all of the worry, doubt, and fear, all those things that are trying to control your mind. You need to blink and you need to drop that because that's what they want. They want you to think about those things. So what you need to do is you need to reprogram and listen to what I'm saying and actually allow me to help you. Mental relaxation comes from mental peace. You need to start to think differently. If your mind powers are being stolen from the thoughts which you have been given, that's what I want you to understand. Your thoughts have been given to you. Not all of your thoughts is your thoughts. Do you understand? Thoughts came from somewhere. So a lot of times the thoughts you have, you need to break that spell. You need to break the spell or the trap of the enemy that they're trying to give you. You need to break it. So understand that physical relaxation comes from mental relaxation. And mental relaxation is mental peace. Once you achieve mental peace, that is the antidote to being able to actually get the good night rest and good night sleep, which is why some people drink themselves to sleep. I'm not saying this is no bad thing. I'm not telling you to get drunk and stupid drunk, but this is why a lot of people, they will take a drink and go to sleep. We've been there before. That's the only way some people can only get that type of rest. Or they said they had to be under anesthesia or something because it's your brain shutting off. So you need to learn how to shut your brain off in times and moments when you need it. So you need to learn how to do that on a daily basis. Now, I want to thank you if you watched to the end. That is the solution. That is why that's important. That is why we just went over and covered everything. Once you control your mind, everything is possible. Everything is possible. I want you to put your notes down in the comments. Thank you if you watched to the end. Hopefully this helped you, which it will if you actually put those things in. You actually wrote those things down and said those things that I want to do. Now, I'm going to keep saying it. Free Telegram is down there so you can keep in touch with me. And the free Substack is down there so you can keep in touch with me. In case of a deletion, in case of all of these things, you know where to join me.